Hello everyone, coming to you from another spectacular day in the end of August. And I was just walking out the door and I realized I had this little dad joke button. So I thought I would press it and we get a random dad joke.
What do you call a cow without legs? Ground beef.
You laughed. I know you did. Just one more.
Did you hear the rumor about butter? Well, I'm not going to spread it.
Okay, we're good. 3 and that's it.
Why did the Oreo go to the dentist? It blasted spilling.
Okay. I know you chuckled. You rolled your eyes, but I know you chuckled. It was funny. On the last video, I showed you how I was connecting up this master switch here, and that allowed me to turn off the battery, which is fine. Now, there's something else about batteries that we have to think about, and that is that over time, if a battery is not charged, it'll tend to lose its charge. These are just lead acid batteries. These are not lithium ion. One of the worst things you can do, actually the worst thing you can do to a battery, is let it run completely out, because it will actually damage the actual battery itself and then it won't fully charge next time around. So we had to have ways to prevent this from happening. I guess it was a couple of years ago, I had to go, I was in Arizona, yep. No, I was in Las Vegas, and it was my sister's birthday. It was a monumental, it was an important birthday. So I didn't have the dog at the time, and I wanted to get back here to North Carolina so I could go, see her for her birthday. So I was going to fly, because I think the rate at that time, it was like a nonstop flight. It was like $300 round trip. I was like, can't turn that down. So I had to have somewhere to park my RV. So I found this storage place, and I took the RV there, and I thought, well, I'm only going to be gone 11 days. I mean, to be sure, the battery is not going to go dead, Well, I was wrong. I got back and the battery was completely flat, and then I was in a mess because I couldn't use my power jack here. That was the video before last. I couldn't use my power jack here to raise the camper up to connect it to my truck, so I was in a mess. I'm like, well, I got to come up with a better way to ensure that my battery doesn't go bad when it's not being used or charged. The best way to handle it is to have a solar panel. This is a small solar panel. I think this was around $20, but the whole point is just to keep some kind of power going in. I didn't need a panel necessarily to just fully charge it, but I wanted a small one. Now, this is not enough power really to do anything other than just keep the battery alive. It will not charge it. I would need like a full 100-watt panel, or maybe even 200 watts, like 2 panels, to charge a battery. So this is not going to, cut that. So I got this off Amazon. As I said, it was a cheap price, and it comes with something called a charge controller. And what a charge controller is it monitors how much power the battery has, and then if it doesn't have enough power, then it sends power to the battery, and it keeps it from overcharging, because that's something else you don't want to happen. You don't want to batteries to catch fire and so on. So a lot of people don't bother with charge controllers, but I do think they are important. So I do have a charge controller. Now it's not connected to the battery yet. I haven't done that yet. So what it's showing you right now is the amount of solar coming in, 20.6. And you see a little battery indicator there. It looks like it's charging right there. That's indicating that it would be charging the battery right now. The switch is on to charge a battery. Now, we're going to connect it to the battery, and once we do connect it to the battery, this number here is going to change, because it's going to read how much charge the battery has. And then depending on the amount of that charge, it'll decide whether it's going to send power to the battery or not. So since we have this switch on the battery, we don't want the switch to affect whether this is going to charge or not, right? Because even if the switch is turned off, which it very well would be in the case of being stored somewhere, we still want it to charge, right? So we're going to take the outputs here and we're going to put them directly on the battery, avoiding the switch. So that's what this is about. That's what I wanted to show you I was going to do. So we're just going to open up the negative right here. And then we're just going to put the negative right there. We're actually touching the battery terminal itself. Put the negative right there. And then we come over here to the positive. I want to connect that second. I'm going to do the same thing to the positive. Okay, we'll put that on here tight. So see, no matter what position the switch is in, we still have direct access to the battery right here. So that's what we're accomplishing. So then we just want to get the wire out of the way. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tuck most of it. We got too much wire here. I'm just going to tuck most of it in here. Okay. And this charge controller, we do not want to get wet. These are supposedly, you know, resistant to moisture, but you know, I don't trust anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in a Ziploc bag. Now look at the reading on here first. So as you can see, it's 12.5 volts. That is exactly what the battery should be reading at. It should be reading at between 12 and 13 volts. So that tells me that the connection is good to the battery and that the connections down here are good. Now this thing didn't come with all this connected. I connected these things down here at the bottom. So what we want to do is we just want to put it in a bag so that it doesn't get wet. Because I can assure you, everything out here gets wet. And I'm going to zip up most of it. I'm just going to leave the little there at the bottom where the wires come out. I'll leave that unzipped. But I'm going to do that. And then I can place this anywhere I want. So if I wanted to place it here and tape it down, I could do that. Or if I wanted to place it in this empty container over here, I could. Incidentally, I just checked this empty container and it's full of water from that storm. So I kind of don't even want to put it in there, but then at the same time, I don't want to leave this out. So I'm gonna think about that, and that's not for us to worry about right now, but I'm gonna have a place to put that where it won't jump around while we're in movement. And while we are on the subject of keeping things dry, this is where I installed the switch on the last video. I don't want this exposed right here, because if this metal here touched over here, that would short out the battery. So that's actually dangerous to have this sliding around and have it moving around. So I'm going to enclose this in plastic so that there's, you know, I could use electrical tape or whatever, but plastic is fine. I'm going to enclose the whole thing in plastic, as I cannot risk that happening. Just a matter of getting it in there. And as long as this plastic does not break, everything should be fine. So I'm just going to stick that down there like that. They're not close to each other and they're being surrounded by plastic. And then I have a lid here that will keep it all, you know, from coming apart. You know, just push that. This is the solar wire. Push that down in there a little bit. So we got that covered up. I could do the same thing for the negative as well as a double precaution. I'm not going to do it right now, but I could. That would be a double precaution. That probably wouldn't be a terribly bad idea, but I don't really necessarily need it. I think it's going to be fine. And I'm going to put this down here, and there's a connection over here that you connect it into. Yeah. Well. Okay, there. Okay, so just to be sure, I've got a bungee cord, and I put that over the top to ensure that the wind doesn't cause this thing to pop open. and then I secure it. So this is a relatively new bungee cord. This is not coming off, even with movement. Last thing, this switch is pretty much waterproof because of the way it's designed. Like if I were just to sit it up like that, like no water would get in it. But I'm gonna go one step further, and I'm gonna get a plastic bag, and I'm gonna also encase that in a plastic bag. And through the magic of video, I magically have another plastic bag, got a couple of them.